Hello and welcome to Fearless DIY Music. My name is Tristan Lass, and today I'm joined by my dear friend Kevin Gamble. He and I are going to discuss the NAMM show. Just like most of you out there who did not actually go, which is most everyone, us gearheads, it's kind of exciting. I don't know, NAMM's kind of lost its luster over the years, but it's always kind of fun just to see what's coming out and to see all the YouTubers kind of go nuts who actually go there in person and show off things and look at things. And so I thought it'd be fun for Kevin and I to kind of talk about some things that piqued our interest and maybe some things that didn't. I think Kevin's going to have kind of a little bit of his segment will be a little bit more about NAMM in general, perhaps. But anyway, I just wanted to go over a few things that I was kind of excited about seeing. I don't want to steal your thunder, Kevin, because you want to really talk about this one, but I think the MXR Rockman kind of stole the whole show. Everybody seems really excited about that, and I'll let you talk about that one in more detail. However, there was another company who came out with some cool stuff. Orange Amplification. They have a new series of solid-state amps. They are designed to be eminently gig-worthy, i.e. you throw them in a backpack or in your pedal board case, and you can take them with you. And they're genuine, solid-state amps, multi-channel. There's one that's like a dirty. There's one that's a clean and a dirty, and then one that's a clean and maybe a little bit dirtier. So they have three different versions of this new Baby Series amp. It all kind of started with the Pedal Baby years ago, which is a very simple like pedal platform amp. And I love the direction they're going with amplification. I think that having something small, something portable, but still an analog, genuine piece of gear that you can plug a speaker into or, just run direct out or run through speaker emulation is super cool. It's a flexible tool. It seems very forward thinking, unlike giant tube amp technology that's still lumbering through both the trade show and all of our feeds all the time. And I think that they really are onto something by really perfecting the beauty of transistor amplification and feature sets. So I was really excited to see those. What else did I mention? The Rockman. Warm Audio and Behringer have to have, some mention in this. They have all sorts of new things kind of launching this year that are replicas of classic boxes and eminently affordable. Their build quality just seems to keep going up. The Chorus, the CE1 clone, I'm interested in that. That piqued my interest. I was like, that would be cool to get, and it's affordable. I feel like they're those two companies, and then the synthesis from Behringer is just like that. It's just incredible, the synthesizer stuff that they're cloning. I know that there's controversy about there could be controversy about cloning things, but at this point, everything is a clone of a clone of a clone. All the classic gear is unreachable financially for most of us. So, I have nothing against these companies putting out affordable versions. And the cool thing is, both about Warm Audio and the new Behringer stuff, they're sticking to the aesthetic, and using metal cases and things like that. And that just really is a game changer, because when Behringer pedals were mainly just these plastic pieces of garbage, that wasn't very exciting. But seeing what they're launching now is super, super cool. Let's see here. Oh, geez, am I going to run out of stuff already?
I think that says something about what's out there right now. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I am kind of out of things to talk about on the positive side. And I think that dovetails perfectly into what you wanted to talk about, Kevin. So why don't you go ahead and give I think you have a general take on kind of the whole NAMM thing. And I need to silence my phone. I apologize. Probably that notification probably came through on the mic. So we'll see how that goes.
I didn't hear it, but yeah, you raised some really good examples, and I think the examples you pointed out are things where it seems like the companies are being really responsive to what matters to people. There's a certain retro element, but it also has to have substance to it. It has to be put together well. It has to just work. And I think that the Rockman pedal may be a great example of that. Obviously, there's a retro component to it. You've got multiple generations of nostalgia there, everything from Boston to Def Leppard to, what has come since then. And so, that's part of it, but also I think the rush of attention to that shows that people just want something that works and is simple, and you just push a button and you get something that works. And the practicality of something like that, I think, has come around full circle now that we're in this sort of home recording era, where everyone's got a full studio in their pocket effectively, and something that just shapes your tone into something that just works in a recording. To stack your guitar parts has got to have major appeal. But the orange amps are another great example. You hear people talking about, oh, I just want something. Why can't they just make a car that doesn't have a computer in it, or things like that? It's like, well, Orange is actually doing that, and they're just, I know you and I are both big fans of solid state technology and so forth. So some responsive things going on with those.
And real quick, Orange has been very vocal too about the fact that they are not going to even touch digital modeling. They're like, this is what we do. We make tube amps, and I think that they're just going to dominate the solid state market going forward. And if they can keep making these things, I mean, they're going to win. No doubt about it.
So I think they've got a good idea, and it was also interesting for me to see that Gallion Kruger's contribution this time was kind of a throwback to their RB, hugely successful amps from the 80s and 90s. Just a big, brick of a solid state amp, and so yeah, definitely some trends going on there. It was interesting to me this year. Every other year that I can remember, with NAMM, I get inundated with messages in my inbox and on social media and my YouTube feed about all the different really exciting products that everybody's talking about this year at NAMM. But this year felt really different to me. There really wasn't much coming through at all. Maybe it's just a quirk of the algorithm, but even when I went and scoured around and looked for the products that were announced, it didn't seem like there was much that was that interesting. It wasn't really about breaking new ground or, the big names coming out with things that everyone was talking about. Like I said, the Rockman pedals seemed to absorb about 95% of the conversation based on what I saw on my YouTube feed. But apart from that, it just didn't seem like there was much going on. I was surprised that the big names didn't have more to offer. It's like another round of Fenders that kind of look like every other Fender they've ever made. Another $5,000 guitar from PRS. It's like, what's to get excited about? G&L had some nice guitars, reissues of the Comanche, but the new American Comanche guitar is selling for more than the original American made ones are on Reverb.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what's the purpose here? What is really going on here? So it kind of felt to me like, you mentioned Behringer's. I think that's a really good example where it's almost like the attention of this has moved out of these consolidated places and into the manufacturers themselves. When Behringer announces a new pedal or a new synth on their own communication channels, it seems to get a huge amount of attention. And so they kind of make their own NAMM every couple months when they announce their next product, whether it's the Chorus or the synths you talked about, the retro, the Linn drum knockoff and so forth. It's like they create their own excitement every single time, more so than anything I saw at NAMM this time did. I did like the double neck Martin acoustic. I don't have $8,000 to spend on it, although I'm surprised they're not selling that for more, but they could
I have that
with their name. But
yeah, I have that on my list. I have that on my list here of things that I was like, why. So maybe we have a different take on that. I think that's
Well, I mean, I think that's a why is a pretty good reaction to that. But at the same time, it's like it's the only interesting guitar, and
yeah. The rest of the Martin
everything that
lineup
I've
is just
seen for the show,
so
it's like everything
yeah.
else is just so repetitive.
Yeah, the Martin lineup's really bland, and I want to address a couple things that you brought up there. The Martin. We'll start with that real quick. Yeah, the acoustic guitars. There's not really anywhere left to go with them. Get a good one, enjoy it. Scour the used market is what I would tell everybody. Don't buy any of these new ones. And I think that there's a diminishing law of returns with acoustic instruments, especially, but also with what we saw with the Fender lineup coming out. Tonewood is getting more and more tricky. I think that going back even 10 years, but going back even further to like 20 or 30 years, buying even the budget instruments of previous eras, you're going to get better quality wood than what you're seeing in the Martins that are coming out and the Taylors and what you're seeing in solid body electrics. And the Martin double neck, I was just like, that's just okay. You made it for NAMM. That's great. But why? You're never going to see anybody actually playing one of those. That's not going to happen. It would be too unwieldy. And it's silly. Plus, you're going to have resonance. You're going to have overtones all over the place in that guitar. I mean, it's like a harp guitar, which are cool to look at, but you're never going to play it.
Maybe you'll see it in a Dream Theater video or something like that.
Maybe. That's a stretch. But the two things that really stuck out to me as being like why and huge disappointment. At first, I was excited about an Indonesian-made Fender. I was like, their Squier Classic Vibe stuff is so great. I've bought a number of those in the past couple years, and Indonesian-built wonderful guitars. Quality of the wood, the quality of the fit and finish, I've been blown away by. And I'm like, well, if Fender's going to go and go ahead and do some production in that same factory to make some actual Fender headstocks, I'm interested. I'll pay the extra $200. But upon all the reviews I've come across, it's just been disappointment. I mean, like 4-piece bodies and things like that. And as a quick example, I just finished up the Relic series. The final video is going to be coming. It just came out a couple days ago. And on that guitar, that's a single piece of alder. Wow. On a 2016 Chinese-made Squier. And then Fender's asking us to buy these, like, Franken-bodied things. I mean, I get a 3-piece body to a certain extent, but a 2-piece body should be attainable for $600. 2 pieces that should be the most pieces of wood that you see on something at that price point, in my opinion. I watched Philip McKnight's deep dives into both the Telly and the Strat from this new series, and he was beyond underwhelmed. He said, go buy the high-end Squier for a few hundred less, for $150 or $200 less, and you'll be more satisfied because the fit and finish is better, and they actually left the chrome on all the hardware, whereas with this new one, they used brushed finishes on it to let you know that you weren't buying a real Fender. So I thought that was super dumb. But the dumbest thing I saw at NAMM, and I just have to say this, was the Dumble booth. So it's not like Dumble's back. He's dead. And it's not like they're going to be mass-producing Dumble amps because they never were mass-produced. But they did, resurrect a chassis, I guess, because to keep the Dumble name and the copyrights and the trademarks and the proprietary stuff, the keepers of Dumble now, a couple of his close associates, had to cobble together a couple amps to make Dumble trademarkable and to keep the brand alive in memory and to keep the servicing of Dumble amps alive and well. And I listened to, some sound clips of people playing these Dumbles, and that's why I made my PV Bandit video. I wasn't hearing anything that was blowing my socks off. So I made that video with the PV, and then I got some positive response. One person was like, that amp sounds great. And I'm like, yeah, it kind of does. And just the whole
who needs it now that you can get the Josh Homme 8-inch PV combo for more than it would cost you to get a Bandit.
And that's another reason why I made it, is because why are you going to buy this piece of junk that I'll be upfront. I'm not a fan of him, and I'm not, some of the early stuff was okay. Caius I like better, and I think it's because he had less input in that band. But anyway, uh, yeah, just the ridiculousness of that too. That both those two things is why I made the Bandit video, because I'm like, you could even find them for $100, fully functioning, and I'm like, and it's an actual gig worthy amp. What else did I see that set me off here? And then yeah, there was just a lot of bland stuff like high tech cables. I mean, come on, spending $50 for a guitar cable. I mean, that's not if you're tone chasing to that degree, you have ears that are far beyond my own. But yeah, I would agree with you overall that it was kind of lackluster. Overall, I also felt that the YouTubers who normally are out in force, with the exception of, I guess, Guitar Geek, he always just spams everything. But other than that, it felt pretty underwhelming. And Philip McKnight was very upfront. He's like, I didn't go. I just decided to save my money and buy some products so I can actually demo them for you and let you know about them. And I'm glad he did. He did a service for all of us, because I was excited about those $5.99 Fenders. And now I'm like, well, I wouldn't, I have a feeling that the reverb landscape 10 years from now will be flooded with those instruments, and they will not be worth much, and nobody will really be, snapping those up.
It's funny you say that. When I saw the Fenders, I was like, they should just call these like the reverb line, and just sell them. Play them for an hour and then sell them as used, because it's like that's their destiny. It's like I just don't get it. I mean, they always have to have something new to announce, and I don't mean to pick on Fender specifically, because they're far from alone at this. But I think circling back to the sort of positive things that did interest us at the start of the video, it's like I think the lesson from this show for me, or the products from this show, is just like, there are some companies who actually are getting what excites people and what motivates people and what affects people emotionally. And those are the ones you're hearing about, and those are the ones you're getting the positive word about, not just the excitement over the announcement, but people try the products out and it's like, oh, this sounds great.
Yeah.
This is super. This Behringer LM drum really, nails it, and I think we'll probably see that with the pedals and everything else too. And I haven't wanted a pedal as much as I want that MXR pedal in a long time. So and I know I'm not alone at that. So some companies are getting it, the orange stuff and these other things, and it'll be interesting to see if that in turn influences the next round of products, with the other companies, watching what interests people. So.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting going forward. We'll kind of like start wrapping up here, and I guess my final takeaway, I think the Fender thing is really a cautionary tale of like, they did something really smart with the Classic Vibe series. I know I keep coming back to that with Squire, but I mean the vintage tints, using all vintage correct spec hardware, at least in appearance. You get one of those in your hands and you feel like you're actually playing, something that feels a part of the Fender lineage. And then these things that they released in this, new standard series, they look like, stuff that we were seeing in the 80s, when we would go into a guitar store and there would be the budget version, and it's like, it doesn't look like a Strat, it just doesn't look quite the part. And I'm afraid that they just kind of really blew it. And then, I don't even talk about Gibson anymore. I know Gibson was at the show, but I mean, they're priced so high. I wouldn't buy anything by Gibson at this point. I mean, it's just too expensive. So, and just disappointment. But I think you and I both agree that there are some companies out there that are doing exciting stuff, and just follow them. I don't know if we need the NAMM show anymore. And some of the footage I saw too just looked like there was a lot of gimmicky things happening, and just kind of fooling around, and all the the inner circle of the guitar community got a chance to hang out together, and and that's great for them. That's well and good, but I was left a little wanting. So
yeah, and I don't think that the inner circle is necessarily buying what is being sold either. It's like this isn't transforming what anyone is doing now or in the foreseeable future. So it's a it's a good hang, and it's good to have some excitement, but not too much transformative in this round.
No, I agree wholeheartedly with that. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kevin, for joining me today. And thank you so much for watching to this point in the video. And if you made it this far, hit that subscribe button and like and share. Leave a comment. Maybe someone who's watching this actually went to NAMM and can give us some of their feedback from the show if they were actually present. If not, we're all armchair quarterbacks in this game. So leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts. Hit subscribe, and we'll see you next time.